The night sky would never feel the same again. Right now, you can step outside and see a quiet, familiar presence hanging above you. The moon feels distant, gentle, almost harmless. It's been with us for as long as humans have looked up. But imagine walking out one night and seeing something that doesn't belong. Something so massive it almost doesn't fit inside your vision. Not a soft white circle, but a colossal world layered in golden bands, surrounded by rings that stretch so wide they seem to touch both horizons at once. It wouldn't just be beautiful. It would feel overwhelming, almost like the sky itself had been replaced at first. Your brain wouldn't even process it correctly. It would look unreal, like a projection or some impossible illusion. But as your eyes adjusted, the details would sharpen. You'd see the rings slicing across the darkness, glowing faintly, their edges shimmering with reflected sunlight. You'd notice subtle shadows moving across Saturn's surface, storms the size of entire planets slowly shifting in silence. And in that moment, something deep inside you would realize. This is real. If Saturn suddenly replaced our moon, the scale alone would change everything. The moon appears small only because it's far away. Saturn, even at that same distance, would dominate the sky completely. It wouldn't sit quietly in one corner. It would command attention, filling a huge portion of the heavens. Nights wouldn't feel like night anymore. They would feel like standing beneath a second, silent world. Darkness, as we know it, would begin to disappear. The rings would reflect sunlight long after the sun dips below the horizon. Instead of true night, Earth would be bathed in a soft, eerie glow. Shadows would stretch in unfamiliar directions. You might walk outside at midnight and still see the ground beneath your feet clearly illuminated, not by the sun, but by Saturn itself. The beauty like this doesn't come without a cost. The moon quietly controls Earth in ways most people never think about. Its gravity stabilizes our planet's tilt, keeping our seasons relatively stable, and gently pulls our oceans to create tides. It's a subtle, delicate balance that life has adapted to over millions of years. Replace it with something as massive as Saturn, and that balance shatters. Saturn's gravitational pull would be overwhelming at that distance. Oceans wouldn't simply rise and fall anymore. They would surge with incredible force. Imagine standing at a coastline and watching the sea pull back farther than ever before, exposing miles of ocean floor, only to come rushing back in a towering wall of water. These wouldn't be occasional disasters. This would be the new normal. Entire coastlines would be in constant motion, swallowed and revealed again in violent cycles. Cities near the ocean wouldn't just flood during storms. They would flood every single day. Civilization would be forced to retreat inland, abandoning places that have existed for centuries. The rhythm of the sea, once predictable and calming, would turn chaotic and aggressive, and it wouldn't stop with the oceans. The gravitational stress wouldn't just affect water. It would pull on the very crust of the Earth. Subtle shifts at first, almost unnoticeable. But over time, pressure would build. Fault lines would be pushed beyond their limits. Earthquakes could become more frequent, more intense. Volcanoes might awaken in places that have been silent for thousands of years. The planet wouldn't explode or break apart instantly, but it would feel unstable. Like something is constantly pulling at it from above. Then there's the sky itself. Saturn isn't alone. It comes with an entire system of moons, dozens of them, each orbiting in its own path. Instead of one familiar moon, you would see multiple smaller worlds drifting across the sky. Some would be bright, others faint. Sometimes they would pass in front of Saturn, casting moving shadows across its surface. Other times, they would align in ways that create strange, shifting patterns of light. The night would feel crowded, alive, almost too full. And then there are the rings. From a distance, They look smooth and elegant, like a perfect structure. But up close, they are anything but calm. They are made of countless pieces of ice and rock, ranging from tiny grains to massive chunks, all orbiting at incredible speeds. It's a chaotic system held together by gravity and motion. Bringing that system so close to Earth introduces a new kind of danger. At first, you might just notice more shooting stars. The sky would light up with streaks of fire more often than ever before. Beautiful, almost mesmerizing. But over time, some of that material could begin to fall toward Earth more frequently. Small fragments burning up in the atmosphere, occasionally larger pieces surviving the descent. The night sky would no longer just be something to admire. It would be something to watch carefully. But the most profound changes might not be physical at all. They would be psychological. For all of human history, the moon has been a symbol of calm, of cycles, of quiet presence. Replace it with Saturn, and suddenly the sky feels heavier, more intense, more powerful. People might feel smaller, more aware of how fragile they are beneath something so massive and close. It could inspire awe, but also unease. Sleep patterns would likely change as well. Humans, like many animals, are deeply connected to natural light cycles. With nights no longer truly dark, our internal clocks could be disrupted. Falling asleep might become harder. Waking patterns could shift. Over time, this constant glow could subtly affect mental health, energy levels, even behavior. Animals would feel it too. Nocturnal creatures that rely on darkness would struggle to survive. In a world where night is never fully dark, predators would gain advantages. Prey would lose their cover. Entire ecosystems could shift rapidly, with some species thriving and others disappearing. And then comes the question that changes everything. Could Earth actually survive something like this? The reality is far more extreme than it first appears. Saturn's mass is so enormous that placing it at the moon's distance wouldn't just affect tides or earthquakes. It would fundamentally disrupt Earth's position in space. Our orbit around the sun could become unstable. The delicate balance that keeps us at just the right distance for life could begin to drift. Seasons might become unpredictable or extreme. Winters could grow harsher, summers more intense. Or in some scenarios, the concept of seasons could break down entirely. In the most extreme case, Earth might not even stay in its current orbit. It could be pulled into a new path, changing everything about our climate and environment. And yet, even with all that danger, it would be impossible not to look up. Every evening would reveal something extraordinary. The rings glowing softly, stretching across the sky like a celestial bridge. Subtle shadows moving across Saturn's surface. Tiny moons drifting in slow, silent motion. It would be the most breathtaking sight humanity has ever witnessed. If you can picture that scene in your mind right now, then you already understand why ideas like this are so powerful. They remind us that reality is only one version of what could exist. And if you're enjoying exploring these kinds of mind-bending possibilities, take a moment to subscribe, because there's an entire universe of questions waiting to be uncovered. Because this scenario isn't just about Saturn. It's about perspective. The universe doesn't follow human expectations. It doesn't care about what feels normal or safe. It creates systems that are stable by coincidence, not by design. And the fact that our moon is just the right size, just the right distance, doing just the right things, is something we rarely stop to appreciate. Replace it with something bigger, something more powerful, and suddenly that quiet balance disappears. The sky becomes heavier. The oceans become restless. The ground beneath your feet feels less certain. And the world you thought you understood begins to change in ways you never expected. So the next time you look up at the moon, don't just see it as a distant object. See it as a silent protector, a stabilizer, A quiet force that has shaped life on Earth for millions of years without asking for attention. Because if it were gone, and something like Saturn took its place, the night wouldn't just look different, everything would.